much, everyone, for joining me today. My name is Brandon Macdonald. I am CEO of Fireweed Zinc. We trade on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol FWZ. Just want to summarize this before I get into the presentation to give you an overview. I think a lot of you will understand that as the global economy tries to recover from the impact of COVID-19, governments, this is the US government, this is Chinese government, Japanese government, Canadian government, the EU, et cetera, will look to stimulate the economy through stimulus. Monetary stimulus was the first attempt at that. And the next attempt will be fiscal stimulus. And the best place to spend that money tends to be on infrastructure. And this is going to kick off a base metals bull market. In fact, that bull market, I would argue, has already begun. And as we see the beginning of that, and as we see the introduction of trillions of dollars spent on bridges and highways and infrastructure, that's going to mean a substantial increase in the demand for zinc. So when you're thinking about zinc projects and what might be the next generation of great zinc mines, our Macmillan Pass project is a clear standout. And it stands out not just in terms of scale or grade, but also the upside potential. The project has so much left to give and continually surprises to the upside. And it's not just us that feels that way. We've welcomed investors such as Teck Resources, the world's third largest zinc miner, to our share registry, who invested in us a few years ago. And what they saw is not just that we had a great resource, but that our exploration work was proving up something very special. And despite all this, Fireweed remains incredibly cheap. This is the beginning of the bull market, and we believe the big moves are ahead. And if you want to know what those moves can look like, a great case study would be the 2018 takeout of Arizona mining by South 32. There was a $2 billion all-cash takeout, the largest acquisition of a pre-production single asset junior in recent memory. The Taylor Hermosa project, which was the core of Arizona mining, very substantial underground deposit in Arizona. Our Macmillan Pass project, on the basis of our 2018 resource, is significantly smaller. But what I want to show you throughout this presentation is how we're closing that gap and how we may well overtake that deposit. As Gilbert mentioned, we have an expert team on board for this company. It was a purpose-built company. We did an IPO in 2017. Our chairman, John Robbins, sold Kaminak to Gold Corp in 2016 for $500 million. So he has a great deal of success in this industry and has had a great deal of success in Yukon. And fundamentally, our strategy is always to treat our shareholders with respect, focus on long-term value creation rather than short-term price moves, and seek a net profitable exit for all our shareholders. This means no greasy inside deals to get promoters their shares sold. This is about making sure that management, long-term shareholders, and all shareholders can participate in the benefits and success of this company. And we do this by making sure that we have our incentives aligned with all shareholders. We have a tremendous amount of skin in the game. We've all put money into the financings, and our chairman actually put in $500,000 into the company last year. And we're part of the Discovery Group, which includes notable companies, Bluestone, Ethos, Genesis, Elemental, Great Bear, K2, et cetera, Valor. We're very proud to be part of that group. So to discuss our project, the project is located in Yukon Territory, Canada, on the eastern border, close to the Northwest Territories. There is a road to the project. We're able to bring heavy equipment in. And the intent is to eventually ship concentrate out of the port of Skagway to Asia. The project is pretty substantial, 940 square kilometers. We started with just the 50 square kilometers in the southeast corner of the project, which we purchased off Hud Bay in 2016. And then we've step-by-step expanded that through deals with Newmont and Teck and other juniors. We believe we've captured the bulk or entirety of a district scale opportunity here. We see a long trend of mineralized systems, at least 4 known ones and hints of many more. Our 2018 resource and PEA were important. As I said, they were done only on the Tom and Jason deposits in the southeast corner of our project. But what they established is those two deposits alone have what it takes to be a mine. And what's important is that we've done so much to improve the project since then. Tom and Jason themselves have been improved both through sizing them up, through improving grades, through doing engineering work. But probably the two most important things are that in early 2020, the Yukon government announced funding for the access road to our project, which would help reduce some of our upfront capex. And we also made in 2019 kind of a rediscovery of the boundary zone in the western part of our property. And that boundary zone has no resource yet, so it's not included in the 2018 resource. It was not included in the 2018 PEA. So the realization of the potential at boundary zone will completely change the picture. But nonetheless, at Tom and Jason, which we based those 2018 studies off of, we still see quite a bit of potential. So we see at Tom, we see the opportunity to add the Tom North Zone, which was not included in the resource. We see the opportunity to improve the size of the Tom East Zone, which is a very high grade zone, a step out there from late 2018, 16 meters of 21% zinc, 13% lead, and 240 grams silver. Truly a bonanza grade intersection, which was a step out and not included in the resource of that year. And also at the Jason deposit, two main zones there, the Jason Main and Jason South. We believe those two are connected at depth, and we think there's a substantial opportunity to upsize those by connecting them at depth. But what's really got most people's attention was the boundary zone. I say it was in the west of our property. Now with the recent additions that we announced in December last year, it's kind of in the middle of our property. Nonetheless, it's a zone that Cominco had done a tiny bit of drilling on back in the 1980s. We followed up with it with drill holes in 2019 and 2020 and hit some truly incredible intersections. And the best hole in 2019, 230 meters, true thickness of 4.5% zinc. That is a massive intersection in terms of grade width. But what's equally intriguing is that's from surface. The first 100 meters of it was almost 9%. And there are intersections within that 6 meters of 43.5% zinc that are truly incredible grade. So this is a zone that looks like it has bulk tonnage open pit potential while also maintaining localized, incredibly high grade areas. So 2020, we followed up on that. A drill hole we announced last Tuesday. So just a brand new announcement, 212 meters of 4.4% zinc, again with localized high grade intersections, almost 6 meters of 25.5% zinc. So boundary zone shaping up to be something truly special. You simply don't see a lot of zinc deposits that have this broad width of mineralization. So as you try to prove up tonnage, being able to intersect 200 meters plus at a time means you can very rapidly prove up tonnage. And the mineralization here, quite a bit different than what we see at Tom and Jason, which are the classic Sedex style deposits. If you've heard the term, that's deposits like Red Dog, Sullivan, etc. But what's different about Boundary is this vein style mineralization. And the closest analogy to this is the underside of the Red Dog deposit in Alaska, which is Teck's largest zinc deposit and probably the world's preeminent zinc mine. Underneath the stratiform barite hosted massive sulfides there, you do see these vein style mineralizations. So this got us thinking about, if we're seeing vein style mineralizations at boundary zone, is there perhaps somewhere where we can also see massive sulfides? So this was our conceptual target there that we put together pre the 2020 program. And we went out and we did a gravity survey, which measures the strength of the gravity field at various parts of the grid area, identified an anomaly that trended west from boundary zone, and put some holes into it, which was the exciting Boundary West discovery. So this shows that there's significant westward expansion of the boundary zone and significant potential for tonnage increase. And now we're thinking about, rather than tens of millions of tons of boundary, we're thinking 100 million tons plus. The western boundary zone We drilled 3 holes into it last year, holes 4, 7, and 9. We've announced hole 4 this morning, which was a very exciting announcement. So that hit almost 80 meters of 4% zinc, 4.2% zinc, 0.3% lead, and almost 26 grams silver. So another very thick, very good grade intersection. And what's exciting about that is that was just one of 2 intervals we found at Boundary Zone West. So hole 9, which is pending, hit a second sequence of mineralization that hole 4 did not. And so we're excited to see the assays of that hopefully in the coming weeks. But, you know, what I think was most significant about the boundary zone discovery is that conceptual model we had of what boundary zone could be suggested that maybe there is a massive sulfide horizon above this vein style mineralization. And that's exactly what we found at the top of hole 4 when we drilled it. This massive sort of red dog style pyrite sphalerite galena mineralization. And this allowed us to put together a new conceptual model of boundary. We now know that that massive sulfide horizon at the top is not just a possibility, it is a reality at Boundary West. We see significant vein style mineralization below that. And then we see this brand new lower sequence of mineralization, which includes both a stratiform sequence and a vein style below it, that's in rocks older than we had ever seen mineralized at the project before. So this suggests a long-lived fluid flux on the system, very deep architecture, and a potentially truly massive and world-beating deposit. So this has us extremely excited and has a lot of other people extremely excited as well. And what's incredible about this is, you know, we started with just the Tom and Jason deposits, 50 square kilometers, and that resource from 2018. That alone was a very viable project. When we expanded the ground, we then made, you know, 2 other kind of rediscoveries, the end zone and boundary zone, which we proved it to be significant. The boundary zone in particular could be incredibly significant and pull the center of mass of this project well west. But we also have numerous other exploration targets on this property. So when you think about, well, is a project, you know, it's very easy to be district scale, but is it truly a district? Well, we have 4 known deposits on this project along this fertile corridor, which traces a significant fault system. And we see at least 7 other targets there. And we really think that this is clearly a district. This is clearly the sort of land package and mineralization endowment that would be interesting to a major mining company. So as we try to prove up value for the project, we take the 2018 preliminary economic assessment as kind of the base case, and we consider, well, what's changed since then? And we know the government has agreed to fund part of our road and indicated that they would look to fund the rest of it. So that would significantly reduce our CapEx and improve the NPV. We've done engineering work that's going to improve assumptions around the mine and improve the NPV. We've expanded Tom and Jason deposits, which again will improve the NPV. And then the discovery of Boundary and Boundary West, which has such a massive mineral endowment, is not just going to marginally improve the NPV, as a possibility, you know, real potential to be a complete step change in the NPV in this project. You know, not an incremental move, but a massive step forward. And then you add in the blue sky potential of all those targets, and you can see that what we put out in 2018 is a shadow of what the project is capable of. We really believe this is the world's preeminent zinc exploration and development project, and we think it's going to join the titans of the zinc world once it's built as a mine. So with that in mind, you know, in terms of our near-term plans, we expect to be doing quite a bit of drilling this year. We hope to do significant enough drilling to get a new global resource in early next year that would include boundary zone and other potential zones. And we would use that to update the PEA and hopefully integrate all those things I was just talking about. And we think the result of that is going to be that this looks to be clearly a tier 1 project. And to my mind, what tier 1 means is a top 10 global producer, long multi-cycle mine life, and first or second quartile costs. You know, the 2018 PEA didn't quite hit that mark, but we think the next one will shoot way past it. We think this is an incredible project, and we think that, you look at the trajectory that Arizona mining went on, a 30x return in the stock in the last 2 years as the market woke up to the potential of that project. We think that we could well be on that same trajectory as well. So I'll summarize quickly, just as a reminder, as a coming base metal bull market, I would expect all base metals to do well, but the case for zinc is very strong with the expected infrastructure investment. We have an incredibly impressive resource already without the integration of the boundary zone, but the integration of boundary zone should put this over top into a true titan of the industry. We have government support for this project, and we have a very catalyst-heavy schedule coming in the next year and a half. So that's it for now, and I will turn it over to questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. So let's go with the first question here from Raymond on the Chinese side. He's asking you, what's your exit model? Is your goal being taken out by the bigger group, or let them mine it?
Yeah, look, it's dangerous to assume you're going to be taken out. The model that our chairman used on Kaminak before it was bought by Goldcorp was to assume at all times that you're going to build it. This means that you're de-risking it. This means that you're pushing forward, and this means you're making it more attractive for takeout. But it also means if the right offer doesn't come along, you can build it. I think a project of this size with this appeal is likely to get bought, but we're not going to operate under the assumption. Like I said, I think that's a dangerous thing to do.
Sure. This is a question from Jackson, and he's asking, is there any challenge in terms of the metallurgy there? Maybe you can explain a bit on the metallurgy side.
Sure. So we've done metallurgical studies on Tom and Jason, and they're pretty classic Sedex, which is to say, if there's a challenge, it's that you have to grind them pretty fine to liberate the sphalerite and galena sometimes. But the concentrate produced is pretty good looking concentrate, low iron, low deleterious elements, very high grade, is likely to be quite appealing. And the early conversations we've had with smelters is that they would view it as, very desirable concentrate. The metallurgy at boundary zone, we simply don't know. We haven't done metallurgical tests there. Our expectation is that it's going to be easier to liberate the sphalerite there because it's coarser grained, but we don't know a lot about, we can't say that for sure, and we don't know a lot about what deleterious elements we might expect, although the assays we've got so far suggest that we probably won't have significant problems there.
Okay, so this next question coming from Max is asking you about this morning's news release. What does that mean for your planning?
Well, the discovery of Boundary West kind of changes the planning. Initially, we wanted to go into Boundary in 2020 and maybe drill it to an inferred resource, but the discovery of Boundary West can kind of completely change that plan. And it's, I guess, a good problem to have, because as you expand the mineralized envelope and make more discoveries, yes, you have to push back your definition, but you're doing it because the project's better. So the hope is that we can define Boundary in 2021, but odds are if we can't, it's because it's just too big to define in one season. So this morning's results are indicative of just the sort of undiscovered material yet to be found there.
Sure. I'll give you the last question here from Chris K. Do you think Fireweed is still undervalued, and what will be the reason why?
Yeah, look, fundamentally in a big way, I think there's two things to specifically consider. First, the broad market undervaluation. I think base metal plays are undervalued. And then I think you compare us to our peers that I think simply don't have projects as good as ours. The market is not yet giving us credit for the discovery of Boundary Zone, despite how incredibly exciting and the massive size potential there. And I think that we're going to see the sort of trajectory, like I said, that other titans have seen when the world wakes up to their potential. So I would expect a significant revaluation of Fireweed in the coming years.
Okay. Thank you, Brandon, for addressing all the questions here today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.